Hey everyone, Tim Schur here, and I have been helping people to bust bad habits for the last 26 years using hypnosis and neurolinguistic programming and my own form of what I call the one belief away method. And every day people call me up, they call my hypnosis practice Indy Hypnosis. I've been running a hypnosis practice, in fact, one of the most successful hypnosis practices in the entire world for the last 2.5 decades. And we've seen tens of thousands of clients, and people have come in for everything you can imagine. So, and one of the things that people call up for a lot is, can you help me with some bad habits? I keep chewing my fingernails, and I've been doing it since I was a kid, and I can't stop. Or I've had women call and say, I have trichotillomania. I think that's what it is, trichotillomania. It's where people are pulling the hairs out of their heads. They pull out their hair, their eyebrows, their eyelashes, until some of my clients were completely bald. And we were able to break that. People will call up and they'll say that, I'm overeating, or I'm addicted to sugar, or I'm addicted to gambling or cigarettes or heroin, all kinds of addictions and bad habits that people have. So it doesn't really matter what the addiction is. I found that the solution that gives people relief and breaks the spell is two things, right? First, we've got to upgrade the belief in our mind that makes us feel like we can't stop doing that behavior, right? There's some belief in our mind that makes us feel like we have to do that, and not doing it is going to be uncomfortable or cause distress. Right? Our brain is always trying to avoid pain and create pleasure. And unfortunately, the bad habits that we develop are ways that our brain thinks make us feel more comfortable, or they give us some kind of a pleasurable payoff. So when somebody is gambling, it's not usually about winning. It's just the thrill of being in the moment. People will go and spend all their savings because they're bored with their life, or they're unhappy, or they're trying to distract themselves from traumatic experiences that they've gone through, or they're just looking for a thrill. They have no other way to find that thrill. It's not even for them about winning or losing. It's about being in the game, and what could happen and the excitement of it all. Well, when you have that much pleasure and pain associated to something, it becomes a compulsion, right? It's this push and pull. Oh, I shouldn't do it, but I really want to. And this push and pull becomes a psychological compulsion inside of us. It's like an itch that you have to scratch, and your brain's so powerful that eventually you'll give in because you're like, I can't take it anymore, right? So I used to bite my nails really bad. I mean, I would chew them all the way off, and they used to have bumps in them, and, I'd rip off my cuticle. I mean, I was hardcore nail biter, because I had so much nervous energy and anxiety growing up. And I tried sitting on my hands and putting Band-Aids on my fingers and slapping my hand really hard if they went towards my mouth. Half the time I didn't even realize they were there. I had an uncle who put hot sauce on my fingers, and I still ended up putting them in my mouth, and it just made me cry, right? And so, and so it was felt impossible to be able to stop biting my fingers. And it wasn't until I actually went through my first hypnosis training back in like 1992, 93, where Dr. Gazella Zuskowski, she asked us, is there something you want to accomplish? And I had seen all kinds of amazing things during that hypnosis training, but I was still a little skeptical. I'm like, there's no way you can help me stop biting my nails. I've tried everything, but if you think you can, then let's find out. So she hypnotized me and changed the belief that I had that I was able to accomplish whatever I put my mind to, and then did a couple of different things to break the compulsion. And she taught me what to do instead. And see, that's the second part of it. The first part is you've got to upgrade the belief and satisfy that need that's inside of you, because you don't just get rid of nervous energy. You have to redirect it in many cases. Now, sometimes you get rid of it just because you upgrade the belief in your mind. We go from I'm not safe to I am safe. I can't take care of myself, or I won't be okay, to I can take care of myself and I will be okay. When you upgrade those beliefs, it shifts how you feel inside. But we also have to learn how to redirect it. You don't just get rid of a bad habit. You've got to create a new habit. I always say, don't just pull a weed, plant a flower, right? Have something new that you grab a hold of. If you quit smoking, don't just stop smoking. Focus on what you're going to do instead, developing those new healthy habits of drinking water or going for a walk or using relaxation techniques, because you want to have something that you grab onto when you are in stressful situations. And most of the time, people forget that part. They're just trying to break the bad habit. They're not focused on developing the better habit that you can grab onto. If you don't do that, that's when you get relapse. That's why people who quit smoking or drinking, or people who lose a bunch of weight, end up going back to smoking or drinking or gaining the weight back, or getting off drugs and then going back to drugs. It's because we didn't develop the new habits, or we didn't upgrade the beliefs. It's always those two things. So that was so many years ago, like 30 years ago, that I stopped chewing my fingernails thanks to Gazella. I mean, that was amazing. I couldn't even believe it. I just lost the urge. Every once in a while, if I was like at the movies and it was an intense situation, I might catch my finger going to my mouth and I'd be like, ew, gross. And then I'd push my hand away. You know, I didn't want to do that anymore, which was amazing, because before I couldn't stop. And now it was like, ugh, right? And I remember my grandfather, when he was alive, when I was a kid, he said, son, he says, you'll know you're successful when you have really handsome fingernails. And, you know, I was like, wow, that would be amazing. And now when I look at my fingers and I see how, you know, they're, you know, nice and smooth and healthy and strong, and they're not being gnawed on, I think of my grandpa saying, you did it, you're a success now. And it makes me feel happy. So the goal when we are updating any kind of behavior is, we want to elevate our quality of life. We want to feel more happy and peaceful inside. So I use the hypnosis because hypnosis is just a way of working with your unconscious mind. Yes, it's definitely relaxing. It's like a massage for the mind. But what it really does is it gives you access to your powerful unconscious mind. And your unconscious mind is the part of you that really controls the behavior. It's like your computer hard drive. And it stores your beliefs, your habits, your attitude, your life experiences, all the memories from your past. And it's the part of you that causes you to show up and act in a specific way automatically without you even thinking about it. Now, that's a real blessing in a lot of ways. I mean, you don't have to remind yourself to breathe or to keep your heart beating, right? You know, you don't have to remind yourself how to drive every time you get in the car, or how to read or how to speak, because that's automated behavior. Well, unfortunately, some of the behaviors that we learn, like picking our skin, right, or spitting, stuttering, there's a lot of behaviors that show up that are learned that aren't good for us, obviously. So if you wanted to use hypnosis to break a bad habit, there's a couple of things you can do. First, you would get yourself into a relaxed state, and just the relaxation itself helps a lot, because so many people are stressed out. It's funny, because I used to have people sitting in my chair and they look like a board, you know, just stiff as a board. I'd be like, how you doing? You good at relaxing? And they're like, yeah, I'm pretty good. I'm like, yeah, you sure? And then they're like, well, no, not really. You know, most people aren't very good at relaxing. And because they keep that chronic tension for a long period of time, they end up with digestive problems, autoimmune challenges, fibromyalgia, IBS, all kinds of challenges that we have, chronic headaches, migraines. I have found in my work with people that migraines are often unexpressed anger, you know, that gets shoved down. And as a result, we feel like we're going to burst, but we're trying to hold it down, and boom, here comes the headache, right? A lot of traumatic experiences, sexual abuse can lead to headaches and migraines. So that can change and be alleviated and healed as well using these tools. So you get yourself into a relaxed state because you're then connecting with your inner mind, your imagination, your unconscious mind. And then we start to figure out where that behavior came from. You know, how did it first develop, right? So I'm going to go back to the nail biting, but it can be any bad habit that you have, right? But with the nail biting, if I would get nervous about something, I would start chewing on my fingers. And then it gave me something to do. And giving me something to do when I was nervous made me feel comforted. And so my brain associated chewing nails to feeling comforted. And when you don't have a lot to feel comforted by except one particular behavior, you better believe your brain's going to cause you to go to that behavior. And when you try to stop, your brain is literally saying, hey, this is the only way I'm going to feel comforted. Get those fingers back in your mouth, and you will find yourself doing it again, even if it hurts. I mean, my fingers would hurt and ache and throb because they would bleed because I chewed on them so much, but it did not stop me. And I know that your bad habits, it's not going to stop you either. Even if you end up with type 2 diabetes or lung cancer, or you're losing your money because of something, or you're losing your family, and you can't seem to stop, it's because that compulsion in your mind, that desire to want to take the edge off, that desire to want to distract yourself, that desire to feel that dopamine drip or release in your brain is so powerful and intoxicating that it overrules our logic, and it causes us to engage in those behaviors even when they're detrimental. So what you want to do is imagine understanding where that started to come from, where that belief started to develop. Once you understand what need you are trying to meet, where you're trying to feel comforted or secure, then what we do is we imagine feeling that feeling, satisfy that need in a new way. So a new way of feeling comforted. So for me, instead of picking or biting, what I would do is at first I would smooth my fingers. I'd be like massaging them or painting them with healing, loving energy. And I would imagine massaging, instead of picking and biting and tearing, which was kind of rough, I went into love and care and support and encouragement. And of course, that opened up a discovery for me about my beliefs. It was that I didn't really love myself. I really didn't spend a lot of time accepting myself or caring for myself or believing in myself. I was very critical. And that would make sense. If you're very critical of yourself, then you would be critical of how you held your body. You would be more of attacking instead of loving and encouraging and supporting. And so, our inner world reflects in our outer world. And when you have these beliefs that make you feel bad on the inside, it manifests physically on the outside as well. And so when I shifted that understanding, that belief, and started to go into self-care and self-kindness and self-nurturing instead of criticizing, then I was able to kind of smooth away the tension. And then it was very relaxing. And I don't even need to do that anymore. But back then, if I felt that tendency, instead of bringing my hand to my mouth, I would either smooth the sensation, and just kind of doing a hand massage is very relaxing and nurturing, and it still gives your hands something to do if you got some nervous energy. Or you just take that feeling and you imagine throwing it away, right? You can do so many different things with the power of your imagination. You can imagine having this urge or a craving in your mind that's this like a big red intense feeling in your fingertips, and you can imagine shrinking that feeling down, shrinking it down smaller and smaller, and taking that red feeling and just kind of turning it more clear or blue. Imagine it going smaller and smaller and turning from red to blue. And then imagine that blue feeling running down your hands and right out through the palms of your hands. It just kind of runs down and out, just kind of down and out like that, just down and out. Now, when you imagine in your mind changing what we call submodalities, when you're changing a color, when you're changing the size of something, when you're turning the volume down, it shifts how you feel inside. It changes how your brain perceives that stimulus, that information. When you change how it changes when you change how your brain experiences the information, it changes how it feels, like immediately. If you have a TV and you're able to change the picture or the sound, it changes your experience right away. If you take a big movie and shrink it down into a tiny movie, if you take a loud movie and you turn it down really soft, or you just mute it, it changes the experience immediately. Well, we can do that in your mind by changing how you imagine things. And so you can change submodalities. You can do so many different things that help you to feel a sense of peace and a feeling of ease. Once you're feeling more calm, then you start focusing on what are some other ways that I can feel relaxed or peaceful or comforted in the moment that make me feel good about myself. And then what you do is you imagine yourself in different situations where you would have engaged in that old behavior, and now you imagine yourself engaging in that new, healthy, relaxing, loving, encouraging behavior, right? So for me, instead of biting my nails when I was stressed, I would imagine myself smoothing my fingers or taking that energy, throwing it away, using some power breathing techniques, and just reminding myself that I got this, I'm good, I'm safe, everything's going to be okay. Things always work out for me. I'm like a cat. I always land on my feet, right? When I'm saying these encouraging, supportive words, I start to imagine myself in situations feeling more calm and peaceful and resourceful and resilient and at ease. And because I'm training my mind to show up in situations in that way, when I'm in those situations, that's what my brain does, because that's what I've taught it to do. That's what I talk about. That's what I mean when I say you're retraining your brain. You're teaching it to do this new behavior. When you feel this feeling or you see this situation, do this instead. I know you used to do this, but we're going to do this instead. And we just keep doing this other thing instead. And that's what helps people to make those breakthroughs. And when you do it in a relaxed, open, suggestible state of mind, like the state you're in when you use hypnosis, it just seems to be absorbed in your unconscious mind lightning quick. And then we just reinforce it a few times. And then usually I give people an audio program that they can listen to while they're sleeping at night. And a week later, I'm like, how's it going? And they're like, I haven't touched my nails, or I haven't gambled once, or I haven't overeaten, or, I smoked for 38 years and I haven't touched a cigarette in a week, whatever it may be. It's amazing how people are able to shift from bad habits to better habits just using the power of your mind. So to summarize, there's two main ways to break bad habits and create better ones. First, we got to upgrade the beliefs that formed when the habits formed, that belief about ourselves or about the situations that we're in. Are we in a safe world? Are we in a dangerous world? Whether we feel like we're able to take care of ourselves or not. We've got to upgrade those beliefs and make sure that that belief around that bad habit starts to break too. Because again, we only engage in behaviors if we think they're going to create pleasure or help us avoid pain. And so we upgrade the beliefs. And then the second thing is we develop new behaviors, new habits that you'll use instead that will help you to avoid pain and create more pleasure. Then we train your mind to go to those new behaviors. And we just keep training your mind to go to those new behaviors. And one of the fastest ways of doing that is by imagining yourself in future situations, looking the way you want to look, feeling the way you want to feel, and behaving in ways that leave you feeling proud of yourself afterwards, resourceful and in control. And that's how you do it. So it's pretty powerful, pretty easy. If you are struggling with a bad habit of some kind and you've been trying forever and you just want to be done with it, reach out to our office, give us a call, 317-502-5293. And I'll chat with you and help you understand how to get the results you want. You can also get a copy of any of my books on Amazon, especially the Get Out of Your Way or the One Belief Away books. They will teach you specifically how to bust those bad habits and use the power of your mind to create your life by design. So I hope this helps. If you have any questions or specific challenges that you have, I've helped people with just about everything there is. So if you're going through something, I've probably helped someone else who's going through that or who went through that as well. So go ahead and leave a comment below. Make sure you subscribe if you're watching this on YouTube. And thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next week. Make today a sure success. And remember to use the power of your mind to create your life by design so that we can make the rest of your life the best of your life. Bye for now.